And we're starting in Nigeria, where 15 kidnapped students of the Bethel Baptist High School have been released by their abductors. Now, the chairman of the Kaduna State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria, that's Reverend John Ayab, while confirming their release, said the 15 students were released on Saturday night.
Now, recall that the bandits had released 28 of the students on Sunday, July the 25th, after 50 million naira ransom was paid. Now, according to the president of the Kaduna Baptist Conference, that's Reverend Ishaya Jangado, who also is the proprietor of the school, the number of students kidnapped from the school on July 5th were 121 in number.
Now let's bring on social commentator and political analyst Francis Chilaka for more analysis on this. Mr. Francis, morning. Welcome to Breakfast Central.
Right. Now, Chilaka, let's begin by getting your thoughts on the news of the released 15 students. Should we be excited, bearing in mind that over 70 of the students are still in captivity?
Well, we shouldn't. It's a double-edged sword, so to say. Yes, on one hand, we should be happy for the parents and then the children who have been released to rejoin their families. And on the other hand, we should be more worried that more children are still held in bondage. And, you know, it really, really baffles me how these children get carried away, fretted away from the school. And then, you know, we just, you know, see the bandits dropping them. I mean, you know, like they just drop them the way they want. It leaves a big question mark on our security agencies, you know, to being able to really, really protect lives and properties of Nigerians.
All right, Francis Chilaka. Now, the bandits had released 28 of the students on Sunday. That was on July 25th, after 15 million naira ransom was paid. Now, reportedly. Now, the trend of paying bandits was condemned by the government recently. What do you make of it? Because it's been banned by the government, but that's the only way these people are getting their children out. Money, exchange hands.
Well, it's one thing to say you want to ban it, but the question is, what is government doing after the banning, you know, to be able to rescue these children? I remember a few months back, you know, in recent times, Sheikh Gumi has been on air, you know, talking about bandits, talking about the fact that, you know, that they shouldn't be treated like criminals and all of that, trying to create a soft landing for them. You know, the thing is, all over the world, we know that the moment you begin to negotiate, the moment you begin to pay ransom to kidnappers, you will never stop. And unfortunately, this so-called bandits, because this is the first time, I keep saying it, it's the first time in the history of, you know, the international community and Nigeria as a whole, that you'll see people who have enough ammunition to shoot down an aircraft, and you keep calling them bandits. You know, I think that government should do something better and go a step further. You know,
right.
Let us declare these people as terrorists. Let us, you know that they are, you know, proscribe them. This word bandit is what I don't like, because it doesn't really pass the message. It doesn't show the seriousness of government in rescuing these children.
Right, Chilaka. Now, I mean, let's talk about these students. Remember, the first batch were about 25 in number that were released. Now we have 15 that is being released. So it looks as if they are being released in batches, quote unquote. What do you make of that? Remember that we have over 60 of these students still held in captivity. Right, Chilaka, I think...
I think it's a matter of how much is paid.
Right, Chilaka, I think your network... Okay. Please go ahead, sir. I think your network...
ransom is being paid. But we know that ransom is being paid. So I think it depends on how much is being paid. It depends on how much is being paid at a particular time where children are being released in batches. So we need to know what really are their demands. You know, How much do they want in total? How much is government willing to pay? How much is the school willing to pay? These children have suffered a lot, and they're still suffering. And nobody is telling us if any of the children have died, because I remember the news also says that they've called the school principal asking the parents to send clothes. So imagine what kind of trauma these children have been exposed to, you know.
All right, so that was, yes, Francis Chilaka, political analyst, joining us this morning, also a social commentator. So big news, Kaduna yesterday, 15 students of that Bethel High School have been released.
But it's also a sad situation because, I mean, people try to get information as to whether or not ransom was paid for the second set. Now, remember the first set, ransom was paid, about 50 million naira was paid. Reportedly, even though the bandits were asking for over 500 million because there was a price tag per each child. And when you multiply that by the number of children, 121 children that were abducted, it comes to over 500 million naira that was being asked in ransom. Now, this second set that were released, when the spokesman was giving his talk and talking to people about how the children were even handed over to the parents. Now, the reunion between the parents and the children did not happen in the school premises. They had to take them away because of the other parents whose children have not yet been released. I mean, it was an emotional union. And looking at the state of health of these children, a lot of the children were looking highly malnourished and not well kept.
And it also begs the question, just like you asked our analyst who just went off, Francis Chilaka, about what he makes and the sense of for Nigerians knowing that, okay, we have more than 100 students who have been kidnapped. Right. We had a few who've been released, 28, now 15 released again. What's the batch releasement, if so to speak, all about? Is it a case of money? And if so, what about the safety of others who have not gained their freedom? And how soon or when will they gain their freedom? And if they are released in batches, does it mean that the question about rescue or the case about rescue is basically out of the question?
I mean, he came out passionately to talk about the name we're giving these people. He's coming out and he's asking, why are we calling people who can shoot down a plane? Why are we calling them bandits? Let's give them the appropriate names. Because it seems bandits is quite belittling and it belittles the situation. If they have the ammunition and the weapons to shoot down an aircraft in
not just that, the resources to keep 100 students for long days. Okay, there's question about feeding, and there's been reports about torture going down, and all the ransom, and even the quest for taking the principals to bring clothing and all that and other supplies. So it is almost like a factional organization that is quite running, and this is where perhaps the accusations go to the government not being able to solve the problems.
But it seems we have Chilaka. Chilaka is back. Right.
Welcome back, Francis Chilaka.
Right now, Chilaka, looking at the situation and looking at what is going on, I mean, at this point in time, kidnapping seems to be a thriving business in Kaduna. Let's not forget that when the first batch of students were released, 2 of the students escaped, but they were re-kidnapped, quote unquote, again, in that same premises. I mean, what does this say about the state of Kaduna at this point in time? Chilaka, you might need to unmute your mic. You might need to unmute your audio for us to hear you properly. Right.
Kaduna is getting to a society where people are no longer sure of their lives and property. It is sad, but we can't say it's not only in Kaduna, it's across the entire country. There's total figure in terms of the security architecture and the people. There's a big disconnect, and it's not just in security, it's in everything that has to do with Nigeria right now. There's a disconnect. And unfortunately, and sadly, the children are the ones suffering most. Nigeria is not at war, and yet our children have been exposed to, situation of war. It is not proper. It is not fair on these children. We are building a society where these same children tomorrow will end up turning into something else if proper care is not given to them. Regarding the issue of the kidnapping of those students, simply shows that there may probably be an insider in the whole of this saga, which we're not aware of. And I keep asking, how do these kidnappers freight these children away from the schools? We're looking at about 100 and something children. How were they freighted away from their school? Did they come in luxury buses? Did they come with Okada bikes? How were they carried away that the security agencies around that vicinity did not know what was going on. So a lot needs to be done to protect the innocent lives of the Nigerian child.
And the focus will continue about the kidnapping and release of these students in Kaduna State. But thank you so much, social commentator and political analyst Francis Chilaka, for coming right here on Breakfast Central this morning for us.